And moving forward to our next speaker. He is a litigation lawyer, doctor of civil law, a professor and Juris Doctor, master and doctor of laws programs, a consumer rights advocate. Please welcome attorney Rodel Taton, an in-depth idea about him. Please watch this talk.
Morning. It's already 12 o'clock. But still, I have to greet you good morning and a pleasant day to all of you. You know, I am so glad to be here at CSMS V4. You know, this CSMS V4 is VSTM. Very special to me. You know why? This is my second time to be present in this summit. And for the last year's experience, I was inspired to do certain things. And I made some advocacies. And today, this morning, I am very glad to be back here, seeing all of you present here, talking about a particular topic assigned to me, and that would be cyberethics. Cyberethics. So what is cyberethics? Anyone? It is difficult. It is quite a difficult topic. But as I've read somewhere, cyberethics is said to be a study of the relations of, or the study of the relations of social, cultural, or ethical aspects of cyber technology. Cyber technology. But I will not dwell into that specifically. But I'll be talking about the nexus of cyber law and ethics. But again, don't expect me to talk about the provisions of the cyber law or the serious ethical considerations. Let's make this light. We'll just simply talk about the nexus or the relation or certain points that we wanted to emphasize for this talk. So we'll proceed. What if you'll encounter this particular social media post, particularly a Twitter post? Do everyone a favor and just kill yourself. P.S. Have a nice day. How will you react? You know, this Twitter post is one actually of the 8,000 Twitter posts a person posted as against another. And this has been a subject of a criminal case in the US, particularly in Maryland. But I will not dwell into that particular case. So how will you react if you see this in social media? Maybe some of you will have a violent reaction, or maybe you'll retweet it, or you unfollow the person, or you will create a message on that, or just probably you can just post #LW, #LW, based on that tweet. You know, in the internet lies the many options, the many challenges that would cause us to act or react, or to stress a point, or sometimes cause distress to another because of the things that we post. So we harm others. And we build conflicts. We establish an animosity to another or to the rest of the world. It is sad. We build this cycle of indifference, a web of differences, which, in fact, sometimes would develop some sort of a culture of criminal mind. But I don't want to dwell with developing the culture of criminal mind. We will, as much as possible, avoid this. And we must actually avoid thinking the crime, but we have to be very careful of what we act or what we post in social media. We are so exposed to the many threats this online world offers, actually. We may keep quiet, abort from the cyberspace, or just simply escape. But where does freedom really lies? Others pose that the right to self-expression is hampered by certain limitations. In fact, in the recent decision of the Supreme Court, it declares online libel as constitutional. But others would say that this is a threat to online expression. This is a threat to freedom of expression. So, in the current trend, we raise the issues that the right to internet access is even a recognized human right. Even the United Nations recognize it as a human right. That Wi-Fi is now part of the hierarchy of needs of every individual. And this should not be derogated upon, not even by our own governments. We have gone too far. We have been through a lot that our liberty is now even questioned or say must be regulated. If you have heard of Patrick Henry in his speech to the Virginia Convention of 1775, so ages ago, he said, "Give me liberty or give me death." So will the finding of the Supreme Court that the cybercrime law is constitutional in many aspects a death of liberty in social media? Or with the current trends in the post in social media with the pabebe that would say, "Wala kayong pake. I don't care. We don't care." Is that the kind of attitude that we wanted to make every individual practice? Of course not. Of course not. So this talk on cyber law and ethics, or aptly cyberethics, redound to the very basics of liberty, or that freedom, our freedom of choice, our free will, that freedom to determine what is good from not, what is right from what is wrong. We are given that power to decide on where, when, what to act. And in social media, we are called to act. That discernment requires us to tick or click. We are aware of what we are posting, as distinguished from mere talking, and be immediately liable for slander or defamation charges. We can have second thoughts or even more considerations before we can click, before we touch our phones or our computers. Sometimes there may be some urgency aspects, but mere tweets, status, or whatever posts can be reviewed prior to clicking. Thus, the options to even edit or delete some posts that we have. So we have the options to correct what is supposed to be wrong. And we have that freedom of choice. Should we choose a wrong rather than a right? Yes, the choice is ours. As your Tita Whitney would say, "The choice is yours. There's a miracle in store." I'm not a singer though. This is where our liberty in social media runs through. Our freedom of choice, that free will, that options that we are given in social media. And here lies responsibility for the actions we may make, the miracle which is in store. So we can make miracles out of our actions, out of our exercise of freedom of choice, our freedom, our free will. It is of good importance to note that the essence and nature of crimes lie on its being intentional or deliberate. And in criminal law, we often say that there is no crime when the mind does not, I just forgot the Latin maxim about that, but there's no crime if it is not intentional, if you do not intend it to be a crime. That you are fully aware of what you do. It presupposes, or there is a presumption that we are aware of what we are doing. That is why a child, for example, who has no discernment, are even exempted from liabilities in certain crimes. And a person who is imbecile or insane, for example, cannot be made liable. And there are some justifying or exceptional circumstances that would make a person not liable for the action because he is unaware of what he or she is doing. But for all of us sane people here, unless of course some of you are only under lucid intervals here, we are all having the options. The options is ours. The options are ours in social media. That we cannot claim that we are not responsible for that action. We should be held accountable for whatever we do. But sometimes in social media, damage is done. The words have been uttered in social media. Not only uttered, but posted. And it has become it has trended. It has trended across nations or the entire cyber world. And when second thoughts would come that we wanted to delete it, damage is already done. Damage has been committed. A person was hurt already. A person has been insane already because of what you did. Or he is in hiding, or she is in some other place just to avoid the evils brought by the posts in social media. In social media, a click cannot fall on lack of skill or foresight because you commit immediately, violate the right of another, that give another the right of action against you. By just a click and damage is done. That wrong inked in the unseen cyberspace. So we can be criminals by definition when we go beyond the words and intendment of the law, when we go against exercising our liberties to the detriment of others. We violate privacy, we sometimes get movies and music, violating the rights of the owners of those music and videos. We make unnecessary comments. We bash others. We compare the basics like the Pastillas girl and Yaya Dab, for example, or Al Dab. We compare ourselves to others. We watch out for others, and we respond by posting some of derogatory items that would hurt someone or you don't feel good about. We commit a wrong when we can actually make things right. So the concept of cyberethics originates on our freedom to act, on the liberty regulated by our duty to ourselves and towards others, to the world that we have a responsibility protecting. And this, I believe, is the essence or philosophy of cyber laws and certain rights, albeit in the internet and social media, that is to act responsibly. I remember the stories and my lessons in philosophy. John Stuart Mill's on liberty and, for example, the social contract purists like Hobbes, Locke, Rousseau, who would talk about liberty and the actions that we make. That will dwell on our freedoms, that this should not be used to put to naught the freedoms or liberties of others. We have a responsibility as we seal our contract in the society at large by being citizens or being politically correct, being netizens. Again, I emphasize, if we can do things right, why should we choose a wrong? I remember last year, as I mentioned earlier, I was present at the social media summit. That was last year, and I talked about the virtue of justice. And the ultimate goal of making laws is actually to establish justice and order in society. And we have adopted the concept of St. Thomas Aquinas, a doctor of the church, on his definition of justice, which would be a habit whereby a man renders each one his due by constant and a perpetual will. So there is will, there is habituality, So you know that what you're doing, you develop it in practice, so you develop a habit, and then you give another his or her due. In social media, we can do that. We have to give others what is due or what is befitting of her. So we hashtag respect. When we talk about rights, when we talk about freedom, when we talk about laws, we have to hashtag respect, because it can only be in that way that we can coexist in this cyber world. Or this is not cyberspace, but cyber world, that we are living persons. Okay? So we should not make a habit out of our irresponsible actions, irresponsible posts, and our criminal acts. We are criminals sometimes, but we should not. We will never be. That culture should be developed into a habit. Otherwise, the cyberspace will just be a space without a meaning or purpose. So you have to go back to the reasons why all these things were developed, all these technologies were established to make the world supposed to be orderly and supposed to make or develop that concept of happiness. That we go out of this world because we wanted to exercise our self-determinations. Under the International Convention on Civil and Political Rights, we talk about self-determinations, or in simple terms, the right to be happy. So you can pursue whatever political, economic, or other acts that you want to do to make you happy. But we should not exercise our rights if we know that it causes damage to another. We have to give another person what is due him or her. We need to form a habit out of doing right and just in the clicks and ticks. We are responsible netizens. With this, we are building integrity for ourselves, but also of the cyber world, as we can influence others from developing a habit. If we can, we must be part of bridging networks of solidarity and circles of integrity by exercising freedom and liberty. That is, responsibly. Let us make it a habit. Then we participate and become instrumental in our commitment to renew and influence others to do the same. We pass and share the message. And thus, we build a cyber world with justice plugged in. Okay? I just found this earlier today, before I went here. My brothers, were called to be free. But do not use your freedom to indulge the sinful nature. Rather, serve one another in love. The entire law is summed up in a single command. Love your neighbor as yourself. With that, thank you very much. But before that, out of the CSMS last year, we developed some sort of an online advocacy. I wanted to share this in the pilgrim's box. If you have noticed, if you can, if you are an online, I know you are online savvies here. You visit Pilgrim's Box in Facebook, Pilgrim's Box in Instagram and Twitter. And I would like to share this to you, one of the posts in the Pilgrim's Box. Pilgrim learns. We may falter, but we must stand up to correcting the errors in the past we have committed. It may not be grandiose, only the simplest we can, and the sincerest, realistic way, because we learn to live. So we learn to live. We learn to correct what is wrong. We continue to build that habit of creating justice to everyone. Okay? Thank you very much. Again, you like and click Pilgrim's Box in Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you very much.